1. I've been at the front desk of this hotel for 5 years, closing in on 10 years' experience as a front office agent. When I started working here, the hotel was managed by an older lady whose dream was actually to manage a hotel. She was so dedicated to this dream that she was on site nearly every day, mostly at the front desk, participating in tasks at the reception, but also cleaning rooms and serving guests in the restaurant. Her being so present gave the hotel an incredible personal touch, and guests loved it. I have to mention that she managed to get a huge amount of rather wealthy regulars, which were super happy to pay more to experience that personal service. The hotel was doing fine, and the employees were all happy working there. Due to the guests paying more, there was no necessity to fill the hotel. Over the whole year, the average occupancy was 60%. Guests usually stayed 3 nights on average, which had a positive impact on room maintenance, because there was no need to fully clean the rooms on a daily basis. I loved my job back in these days. Her son, a very nice guy, a bit of an introvert, and more of a tech guy than a people person, studied in one of the best hospitality schools in the world, was assistant GM. It was already clear that he wasn't willing to dedicate as much time as his mother did. He mostly left work as soon as possible, or came in later, if he could. It wasn't rare to get a message from him on a days off asking to take over his shift. He was set to take over once his mom deemed him ready. She would gradually hand him more and more responsibilities, and after roughly 1.5 years, he was put in charge of pricing. That's where the downfall started. He started giving one company incredibly low corporate rates, like half the price we used to ask for a room back then. He informed us that this was an exception and that it should allow us to have more reservations during the weaker months. It turned out that 80% of the reservations made by that company were made in the months where we could have sold the rooms for 2 or 3 times the worth of that corporate rate. Next deal he made was with a certain online booker, pain-in-the-ass company by the way, that would allow to include a free breakfast into certain room categories. The bullet was slightly dodged because his mom took part in the meeting and was able to request that the breakfast would only be included in the more expensive categories, in which we have less rooms. Over time, the rates were getting cheaper and cheaper, and believe me or not, but what he did had an impact on all the hotels in the area. They all followed his lead and started offering dumping prices as well. Back then, I thought that at least the lesser-paying guests would become a bit less challenging. Oh boy, was I wrong. It's astonishing how terrible guests became. We mostly got guests who never stayed in a hotel with our standards, because they couldn't afford it under normal circumstances. Even if, in my eyes, the room rates were at an all-time low, for the guests it was still a lot of money, and therefore they had huge expectations, which we simply couldn't meet. We faced one complaint after another. At that time, we had an average occupancy of 70% and it was increasing. Most people stayed 1 night, so for housekeeping it became extremely rough and the rooms got worn off way quicker. There wasn't a day where something didn't need fixing. We also had side effects of this increasing occupancy, which were felt at the front desk. Being a rather small hotel, we were also in charge of the reservations, and guess what, we got loads of them. It got so bad that we weren't able to offer that personal service we were once booked for. You remember the wealthy regulars I mentioned in the beginning? Well, they stopped coming. Firstly, because they used to book directly with us, and the son told us to give them the rates they had back in the days, as none of them would check what the rooms would cost online. And secondly, because they noticed that we weren't offering the service we did before. What did we get out of this strategy after 2 years? A rise in occupancy from 60 to 80%, an increase in revenue of 5%, high numbers of bad reviews and complaints, which led to a lot of refunds and compensations, terrible guests with high expectations, many veteran employees quitting. Keep in mind that revenue is relative. Flash forward 2 more years, and here I am sitting in a hotel where the toll of repairs is not sustainable and basically ignored. The best is yet to come, because the generation change hasn't occurred yet. Half a year later, without the knowledge of the mother, who was still the GM at that point, The hotel who belonged to her husband was sold. The conditions of the sale weren't shared to the team, but we got some details. Basically, the new owner would have to keep the son as GM. The mother, on the other hand, was forced to retire. She was heartbroken. So were we. The son held a farewell party in the honor of his mom. We were all invited, and it was so cringe because we all knew that she didn't want to leave. She came to every employee and wished each of us all the best, and she left. She never came back to the hotel. I really miss her. Since then, the son is leading the hotel. He reduced his working hours even more, to the point where he comes in 1 or 2 times a week, and only because he has to. Lately, the rates had to be even lower because of the hotel reopening after Corona forced us to close for a few months. Twice. Nobody likes working here anymore. Funny thing is that the GM thinks the opposite. He thinks we are a great family, and that this is the best workplace each of us ever had. It's ridiculous. The pay is bad. The working conditions are a joke. Whoever asks for a raise gets laughed at and told that everybody is exchangeable. The guests are horrible. The GM doesn't fine new employees because they all quit during the trial period. Here I am now, a misanthrope because of what I experienced the last 4 years. Glad to wear a mask at work so I don't have to smile at the guests anymore. Waiting for the next 10 working days to be over. After that, I finally leave hospitality for the company of a good friend of mine, where I will earn more, work less, and will not have to deal with guests or customers anymore. I am so relieved. 10 days, and it's over. 2. A little backstory. We have a doctor who has been with us for many months, and she has been a pain in the ass since the beginning. She wanted fresh out-of-the-box towels to keep, parks wherever she wants, including in the handicap parking, basically treats us like her own personal servants who must greet her as only doctor, pick up the fuzzies from these towels, open this, store this, etc. Well, one day, I go into work and I read in a previous shift report how doctor got a parking ticket for parking in handicap parking. Big shock. As I finish reading and I open all the apps I need to start my shift, the phone rings and the caller ID says it's the doctor. But on the other end is my coworker. In utter confusion, I say, auditor? She proceeds to say, yeah, it's me. The doctor found me in the hospital and told me about her ticket. I can hear the annoyance in her voice, so I cut it short with, I'm really sorry, auditor. There's nothing I can do for her, but how are you? After the chit-chat, we hung up, and I went about my business. 10 minutes later, another call from the doctor. At this point, it's slightly annoying. But whatever. She tells me about her ticket, and I say, ma'am, I'm really sorry, but what would you like us to do about it? She demands to know what guests came in after 11. I told her I would not be able to look into that, as I was not on shift at that time. And I told her that it may not have been a guest. Ma'am, the police do patrol the area at night, and we are across from a busy complex. Again she demanded, and again I told her that is not something I could assist her with. She asked if the manager was in, and I said yes, but she may be getting ready to leave, as she has been out sick for a few days prior, which she already knew. The doctor returns just as I had walked the manager out, so she witnesses this exchange from her car. The doctor corners me, and the following exchange happens. Who came in at the time of my ticket? Ma'am, there is no way for me to know how you got a ticket. Is the manager here? No, she just left. Well, did you tell her? Yes, but there is nothing we can do about this ticket. Well, I need to know who came in at 11. Ma'am, you told me what time your ticket is timed for, but I was not present. It may not be a guest. There is a restaurant, a complex, and the police patrol nightly. I have a hard time getting up in the morning, and there's never parking out front. Ma'am, again, I apologize that you received a ticket. But all I can do is advise you not to park there because it is illegal and you may continue to get tickets. This is private property. You have to know why I got this ticket. It is your job to know what happens in this hotel. Private property or not, in this state it is illegal to park there. Myself, nor this hotel, nor anyone else in it are above the law, and we cannot help you with this. The doctor stormed back to her car with a menacing, "I'll be back." After she left, I called my manager, and we laughed and cursed our way into the solution that 1, doctor is crazy, and 2, it's okay to say I'm not discussing this with you further. The doctor returned several hours later and caught me in another position to corner me. There's a car in handicap that doesn't have a sticker. I can give you the number to the local police and they could assist you with that, or I can call for you. No, that isn't the point. We are all guests here. You're right, you are guests. We must all follow the same rules. I advise you not to park there, so you don't get further penalties, and I would advise anyone of that as well. Do you even have handicapped people in-house? Ma'am, we have been sold out for multiple weeks, and we have several rooms that follow ADA guidelines. As you know, it would be egregious to ask for their medical limitations and handicap status. Doctor begins stammering about her ticket once more. I interrupt her and say, "Ma'am, if you want to discuss your ticket further, you can call the officer who wrote it, or plead not guilty and discuss it with a judge. I am not discussing this with you any further." I walked away and called my manager. 2 days later, she saw the manager, but never brought up the ticket. 3 days later, she complained to my coworker that she didn't appreciate my advice not to park there, nor that I offered to report the other car. Now the doctor avoids me, and I can have time for valid foolery from guests. 3. To begin with a little bit of background information. First, in regards to myself. I've been working in the hotel I work at for about 4 months. I've been in customer service for years, but this is my first hospitality job. I was moved to night audit after I'd been there a little over a month, and this story happened before I was moved to night audit, while I was still on the AM shift during my second week. Second, some general and necessary information about the hotel I work at. We're close to the local hospital, so we have special rates for visitors, staff, and patients of the hospital. Also, since last year when COVID lockdowns hit, our housekeepers stopped automatically cleaning rooms, and it is available on request only, and needs to be requested before 9 a.m. We still have this policy due to labor shortages on top of COVID lockdowns coming back. Now on to the story. I was working the front desk and it was about 1:50 p.m. These 2 guests come up to the front desk, and for sense of ease sake, we'll call them Karen and Kyle. Also involved in this story is PM Relief Jake, the director in sales Jim, the general manager Jennifer, and her husband Kevin. Kevin and Jennifer are also shareholders in the parent company that owns our hotel. This is the interaction that takes place. "Good evening, how can I help you all today?" Kyle says, "We need our room cleaned today." I apologize, however, we can't take requests to clean rooms after 9 a.m. I can... "We need the fucking room cleaned today. How are we supposed to know that we needed to ask before that certain time?" Again, I apologize, however, it is on a slip of paper in your key packet, and you were told to check in about this. Though I can see if I was the only one who had checked them in the previous day, and I remember telling them. "This is fucking unacceptable. I thought that the information on that slip of paper was for the internet, so I just threw it away and didn't look at it. And did you expect me to listen to that dumb little bitch who checked me in?" No, yelling is a trauma trigger for me. It incites a severe PTSD-induced panic attack. So by this point, I was on the verge of tears. Karen then says, not yelling, but with a horrible tone of voice, and taking out some papers, "We need the room cleaned today because I'm having a surgery tomorrow." I understand I can... "Get our fucking room cleaned now!" At this point, Kyle starts slamming his fist against the counter and screaming to get his room cleaned repeatedly. So while saying I was going to go get a manager, I start running into the back office as I'm unable to stop myself from crying anymore. While I'm running into the back, I notice Jake is already in the back office as he was coming in at 2 p.m. that day instead of 3 p.m. I see Jake heading to the door to physically block Kyle as he was chasing me into the office and screaming and cursing at me. Though he is in his 60s, Jake is no small guy. He's pretty tall and is a vet who has seen live combat. I run into Jennifer's office, and her husband Kevin is also in there. And Jim hears a commotion and steps into Jennifer's office as well. While trying to gain composure, I slowly manage to explain what is happening. Jim and Jennifer are mad but composed, while Kevin is demanding we kick the guests out, and he is absolutely livid. I don't hear what anyone says to the guests at this point, as I was told to stay in the office and calm down. But here is what I found out after the fact. Jennifer called our head housekeeper to request the room be cleaned today, and seeming satisfied, they left. Jim, Jennifer, and Kevin discussed it and decided that they did not want anyone staying who would behave like that. Jim goes into the reservation and gets the phone number to the guests and tells them that they need to gather their things and leave, as they were no longer welcome. Kyle starts to backpedal and saying that he didn't mean to do any of it and other BS. He then asks if he could come apologize to me and get his room back because it is the closest one to the hospital, and all other hotels in the area are 3 times the price and blah blah blah. Jim tells him flat out that he will not be staying even if he apologized. He said he would come in before I leave and apologize at least. Well, I never got an apology and they are now banned from our property. Funny thing is, there were not a lot of rooms on the checkout list. So I was going to offer to call our head housekeeper myself and see if she would clean it. And she most likely would have. 4. I knew I was dreading today, but to be honest, I thought it would be because of the convention. No, little do I know there's a storm and airlines are cancelling, one called Phantom being the main culprit. Reservations are quoting guests the wrong day rates, which led me to reinforcing already mad guests that the rates I have are higher. Couldn't roll audit till 4, and while I was rolling audit, my shuttle driver tells me how she rescued these people from the airport. I'm grateful for the business, but when I call you and ask if there's any more arrivals, I'd like a heads up if the answer changes from the no you gave me. So I had to check them in while I'm in audit. Computer naturally freezes because I'm working with Okra. And I scrambled to fix it all whilst the tired and understanding couple gave me their time. I made sure to give them the lowest rate I could. Then come the entitled Park and Flies. I don't know why their website had us as an on-demand shuttle, but we aren't. After checking in about 50 rooms with tired and irritable guests, having guests pile on me for food and drinks because they obviously see that I don't have enough on my plate, catching a few people try and steal things from our shop, these Park and Flies come in demanding a shuttle. Okay, well, the next one leaves at 4:30. Dude reads me the fine print. I don't know what to tell you. At this hotel and in that fine print you're at the discretion of the location. I'll talk with them about wording, but you have 3 options. Wait for the shuttle, take an Uber, or continue this behavior and go anywhere else. Guys, I don't usually talk like this. I was at my wit's end. The sad thing is, I don't even feel sorry. And because this jagoff wants a ride as soon as he can, he will make the people who actually signed up and pay us good money late. Seems like some of the guests were shocked. I was nice at first, but he just kept belittling me and making me feel like I'm the idiot when he's the one late. Personally, outside of the little outburst, I think I judged it fairly well, considering we had a bum rush for like 3 hours. 5. Phones are ringing non-stop. People are constantly coming up to the desk for this and that. And I'm finishing all of my checkouts around 11 a.m. like we do every day. I go down the line of rooms that haven't physically checked out at the desk with me, calling the phone in the rooms. Everyone is thankfully checked out by 12 to 12:30. Then one of my housekeepers calls me and says her key won't work in one of the rooms. Weird. I rekey her key and don't hear anything for a while. 2 p.m. hits, keeping in mind that 3 p.m. is our checkout time. It's a Friday night, and we're sold out as usual. Maintenance goes up to the room to see why the door won't open. He comes back downstairs after going up and tells me, "The door won't open because there's someone in there." He says he knocked on the door and got, "I'm here," from inside the room. Strange, but shit happens. My coworker and I try to call the room twice, then try calling the cell phone on file. She doesn't answer any of them. Fine, we try to extend the room and pray someone cancels and we aren't oversold. 2 credit cards on file, both decline. Well, guess we aren't extending her. Housekeeping and maintenance try the door again, and it won't even open the little amount it should when the door is latched from the inside. It takes all of 5 seconds before we're calling the local police department. They're in the middle of a shift change, so we end up with not just 2 cops, but a steady stream of 4. The cops ask how we know there's anyone in the room, and we tell them about the woman saying she was there, which is all we've heard from the guest at this point. The first few times the cops knock at the door, no one answers. But the 5th time he's knocking, the cop at the door is pounding on the door and he tells her, "I can hear you in there, open the door, it's the police." Eventually, the woman and the man inside open the door. The cops get a luggage cart and these people are escorted out of the building. But not before the man comes to the desk to tell us how he was good until tomorrow. And why didn't you charge the credit card? To which my coworker responds, "That's the problem, you aren't good until tomorrow. Your room is already sold and my housekeeper has to stay late. And neither of your credit cards are any good." The next 2 hours is a steady stream of the housekeeper and my coworker bringing things down from the room. This was a 5-day stay, and they proceeded to bring down laundry, linen, trash, and a small grocery store worth of perishables that the guests left behind, unopened. This includes about 4 cartons of milk, multiple snacks like full-size bags of chips, boxes of Rice Krispie treats, candy, and various other food and drinks. My coworkers descend on the food like vultures, and the do not rent list gets another name added to it. No idea what this person's plan was, but they didn't seem like they were planning to go anywhere anytime soon. And we're still baffled why they thought ignoring phone calls would mean we'd forget they were still in the room. Maybe they should have spent all that snack money to pay for their room for the night. Hey everybody, Hellfreezer here, and thank you very much for listening to Coahw, episode 71. And thank you very much to everybody who allowed me to use their stories in this video. If you enjoyed the video, then please do leave a comment and a like if you'd be so good to do. If you're new to the channel, well, the subscribe button's like there if you'd like to get these videos in your subscription feed. And if you're feeling adventurous, you can also hit the bell to get the notifications. Oh yes, I hear that's quite popular these days. Alright, where are we? This goes up on Monday? Yes, Monday, okay. What date is Monday? It's the 30th. Oh dear, it's almost September. I become an old man in September. I'm 40 years old. I think they come and get me and make me go through a carousel at that point. I forget what age that is. Anyway, at least I get to meet Jenny Agatur. She seems quite nice. Okay, and with that, I'm going to head off for now. So until next time, thank you very much for listening, and take very good care of yourselves.